What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the latest episode of the R-Truth game show entitled Miz and Mella Mania, a tag team partner reunion show of sorts, not with Miz and Carmella, but rather with R-Truth and his two former tag team partners, first The Miz from Awesome Truth and Carmella from when they were doing the Fabulous Truth a couple of years ago. The first two episodes were great. Check out those right now on the network as well, and my review of those in the description box down below. So for the Miz and Mella Mania episode, we start off with Carmella, and they obviously start off with the R-Truth trivia. The first question that Truth asks her is, who are the former 8, and only 8 women have held the SmackDown Women's Championship in the last 4 years. Who are those 8 women? And Carmella named them all, including herself, of course, being the best one, she says. So the other 7, I didn't write them down here, but the other 7 women who have held the championship since 2016 include Carmella, that's one, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Bayley, Charlotte, Asuka, and who was the other person? Oh, Natalya. Natalya had such a forgettable reign back in 2017, I honestly completely forgot. So, yeah, she held the championship as well for a time in 2017. Another question that Truth asks her, what was the controversy surrounding the Patriots back in 2007? Such a random question, but he asks this because I think she was a part of the cheerleading squad for the Patriots back at that point, and it was Spygate. I guess they were spying on the other teams or something like that. The Patriots have endured a lot of controversies. I've come to realize as a New Englander, and this was one I did not know about. So the more you know, I suppose. The other question that he asks her, or another question rather that he asks her, involves the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Who are the first 5 women to compete in a women's Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE? And it included Carmella herself, of course, Natalya, not Naomi. Naomi wasn't in there. It was Natalya, Carmella, Tamina, Charlotte. Pretty sure Charlotte was in there, and Becky Lynch. And obviously Carmella won it. And then Truth says, oh, you're missing one person. And she said, no, I'm pretty sure there were 5 women in there. And he said James Ellsworth, which was such a fucking obvious. Yeah, he was a part of the match, but he wasn't officially a part of it. So that was a kind of a trick question there from R-Truth. He then also brings up her Stone Cold impersonation. Now, Carmella, during quarantine, I would imagine this is what she was so bored, that's why she did this stuff. She was doing impersonations on, I saw them on Twitter. I don't know if they were on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but she was doing impersonations of Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley, I think, among other people. And Stone Cold was one of them. With Stone Cold, and Becky too, she did them all of the 4 horsewomen, but she did one of Stone Cold, and she wore the bald cap and a fake mustache, and it honestly wasn't bad, where they would have the audio of Stone Cold in the background while she did the on-camera impersonation, and I think it was the 316 promo, and it was actually really, really good. They then play Bougie Nights, where she has to say which is more bougie between this and this, dogs or clothing or wine, whatever. I'm not even going to attempt to recap that part because I have no idea what they were talking about. I know nothing about bougie, so I won't even attempt to pretend like I do. She then talks about the morning podcast show that she does with Corey Graves, talking about relationship stuff and stuff like that. She also talks about liking wine, which I'm not sure if I knew that, but she has a very distinct wine collection in her home. So she then does the scavenger hunt where she shows off her Money in the Bank briefcase, a bottle of wine that she has, Pancake her dog, Corey Graves in the background, her merchandise, her Fabulous Truth shirt, which she actually still has. So she ends the game with 78 points and has her prize, and I think she's in first over Alexa Bliss and Sheamus. I don't think Drew got I think it's Carmella, Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and then Sheamus, I believe. I think Alexa Bliss ended up scoring more than, or Natalya ended up scoring more than Natalya. I'm sorry, Natalya ended up scoring more than Alexa Bliss on the last episode, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Carmella has them all trumped with 78 points. Her prize, a pretty Ricky Red wine and a little Jimmy White wine as well. And then they do the dance break, as how could they not, to close off that section of the episode. R-Truth then welcomes on The Miz, another former tag team partner of his. who admits that he's average at trivia. He's not that great at trivia. Mike will admit that. Miz, maybe not, but Mike will admit he's not that great at trivia. So the first question he's asked is, who was the first person to hold 3 championships in WWE? And it was actually The Miz. Now, I don't count that as 3 titles. Yeah, Miz held 3 different title belts, but they weren't 3 different championships. So what they're referring to is when he was the United States champion and the Unified Tag Team champions with the Big Show in early 2010. Now, I think when the Hart Dynasty, Primo and Epico beat actually Miz and Morrison to unify the belts in 2009, I'm pretty sure that at that point, like when the Hart Dynasty won them, or who else? Edge and Jericho, and then Jericho and Big Show and DX. I don't think it counts as 2 different title reigns. I don't think DX are WWE Tag Team Champions and World Tag Team Champions. I think the World Tag Team title lineage was discontinued after the titles were unified, so they carried on the WWE Tag Team title lineage instead. That's as far as I know. So technically, he was wrong there with the answer, because I don't think anyone has ever held 3 different titles at the same time. I know Sasha just won the Raw Women's title on Monday. She's a Raw Tag Team Champion and a Women's Tag Team Champion. Bayley's the SmackDown Women's Champion. But that's not like one person doesn't hold 3 titles in that tag team. So anyway. Then R-Truth, he says, this is a great question. I thought this was awesome. Miz gets it wrong, but he goes, what's round on the sides and high on top, or high in the middle, he says. And Miz has no idea. And Truth says, Ohio. And I'm thinking at first, the state is like round on the sides? How does that make sense? But he's actually talking about the actual word Ohio. This was hilarious. I've actually never heard this before. It's a dumb joke, but I thought it was great. With the 2 O's on the end, Ohio, and then like high in the middle. Like what's, high, whatever. I think he said high in the middle. I think that's what he said, if not something else. But I thought that was a great, great trivia question, even though it was it was a tough one, but it was very good. He then mentions, what year did the Browns win the Super Bowl? And Miz said that's a trick question because the Browns never did win the Super Bowl, which hurts Miz's heart to admit that they've never won a Super Bowl having been from Cleveland. So R-Truth asks him, who's been your greatest tag team partner? Miz says, of course, R-Truth, because that's the answer that he was looking for. He then talks about having 2 kids, and R-Truth gave Miz some kids about having kids a couple of years ago, including on Miz and Mrs. about maybe a year or 2 ago, about having kids and going through that process and, redesigning his home and stuff like that. They then do tag team trivia about all of Miz's former tag team partners, including Big Show, John Morrison, John Cena, who he won the tag team titles with, blinking you missed it, for like 15 minutes on an episode of Raw back in 2011, I believe. He also says that he currently has 2 dogs and 2 cats. I knew about the dogs from the Miz and Mrs. show. We don't see the cats nearly enough on that show, so that's why I completely forgot about the cats. So for the scavenger hunt, Miz shows off a baby bottle in his home. We don't see Maurice, I don't know where she is, but he shows off a baby bottle, some sports jerseys from Cleveland that he has. He does not have a Money in the Bank briefcase. A lot of these people do. I think Sheamus does from when he won it. I don't think he showed off the briefcase, but he did show off the King of the Ring crown from when he won it in 2010. But Miz does not have the briefcase, which really surprises me. He's won it all. He's won the briefcase, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't have one in his home. He has all the other championships, but not the actual briefcase, which I thought was interesting. And his was all beat up, too. That would have been a cool souvenir to hold on to, that beat-up briefcase. But he shows off an action figure that has the Miz TV logo on it, and some championship belts as well, including Maurice's Divas Championship. That's right in the middle, of course, because why wouldn't it be? So Miz ends the episode with 46, according to R-Truth anyway, 46.8 points. So not nearly near the top. I think it's still Natalya, or rather Carmella number 1, then Natalya, then Alexa Bliss, and then Sheamus. McIntyre and Miz aren't even on the board anymore because they rank so low. So as a gift, R-Truth gives Miz a Pretty Ricky book, which Miz appreciates. Miz does a rap to close out the episode, as well as R-Truth. separately, of course. And that was it for this edition of the R-Truth Game Show entitled the Miz and Mella Mania episode. Very good stuff here. Check it out right now on the WWE Network. And thank you guys for checking out my review right here on YouTube. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. The next episode, if there is another new episode, it should be up on Tuesday. That's usually when the R-Truth Game Show episodes are uploaded to the network. Uploaded to the network, that is. So I should be reviewing that if it goes up next weekend. So, because on Friday I plan to review the day of episode that went up today on the network, covering, what was the last pay-per-view? The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. So that should be up on Friday. My next R-Truth Game Show review, if it is going up on Tuesday, that review will be up on Sunday. So check out the playlist down below for more R-Truth Game Show reviews right here on the channel. Until next time, guys, I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Have an awesome rest of your weekend, and I'll catch your ass down the road.